So is there a housing bubble in Canada, and does it matter to you? You know, I've been hearing about a housing bubble in Calgary specifically since 2006 when prices first started to increase. But I've been hearing a lot, and it comes and goes and comes and goes. But recently I've been hearing more about it, and it seems to have stuck around a little bit more. And I do believe it's because of this document here, released by a very official sounding group called the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. They released a snazzy document, and Canadian Housing Bubble, an Accident Waiting to Happen. A great title, and they released this report and it got a lot of exposure, and it kind of seems like I got forgotten about in a way, but I find a lot of people who are looking to buy right now, the thought has stuck around. So, what I want to do today is kind of expose this myth a little bit. Let's talk about the housing bubble. I'm going to talk about what a bubble is, why they believe a bubble is forming, historically what has caused bubbles to form, and why I don't believe in a bubble right now. And last but not least, I will talk about how a bubble could form if it were to form in Calgary. So first off, what is a housing bubble? People sort of throw this phrase around a lot. I see it all the time in newspapers. Housing bubble, housing bubble, housing bubble. What is a housing bubble? Well, basically, there is no formal definition, but all it is increase in home prices beyond the economic fundamentals of a region to the point they're unsustainable, followed by a subsequent drop in home prices. So why now? Why is now the housing bubble? Well, if you look at this document here by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, they don't really give a lot of good concrete reasons, which is unfortunate, but one thing they do say is that the average home price in Canada has increased on a % per year increase more since 2000 than it had previously. And this is true, however, average home prices do not tell the whole story, as they never do. If you look at homes from 1980 to 1990 to 2000, 2010, one thing you'll notice is they're getting a lot bigger. And so it costs more to build these, so subsequently it costs a lot more to buy them. If you look at the price per square foot, it actually hasn't increased all that much, so it's actually stayed relatively constant. Along these lines, the luxury home market has exploded. It used to be non-existent, and now, it is the one sector that is still doing extremely well. And if you think a couple of years back, there's a home that sold in Calgary for $10 million. This had a big effect on the average home price, and you may think, oh, it's only one house, but this has a big effect, and homes sell for $5 million, $6 million, you never hear about them anymore. And lastly, they did change the rules. CHMC did change the mortgage rules. They changed the amortization rate from 25 years to 35 years, and this did cause a little bit of a bump up in prices because it made more people able to buy. Realize unless they change that back 25 years, that bump that occurred there in average home prices is here to stay. We'll continue to see the average home price increase. We just had this one-time, essentially one-time increase in prices there. And so, this average home, the reason that a housing bubble formed because of average home price increasing more is really baloney. So, maybe it is important to know why bubbles have formed in the past, and we can look at 3 examples from Canada. 2 happened in Vancouver, 1 in Toronto. It's important to note there, these happen in these localized regions, they didn't happen in Canada. We also looked at the States as well, where we just had really the financial crisis there. They had their own little housing bubble, but again, it wasn't the United States housing bubble, it was very localized regions, and really, it was 10 major cities that kind of blew up and took the rest of them down with them. So what really, causes housing bubbles? Well, first and foremost is interest rate increases, and the second reason is really unemployment, basically a poor economy. So if we understand, historically why housing bubbles have happened, we can understand why they are not happening right now. So first off, interest rates. Yes, interest rates will increase. They will increase slowly but surely, but we do not have the economy to sustain long-term big increases in the interest rates right now. This is not going to change. And understand too is that we are increasing from historically low levels. Interest rates could get no lower, so of course they must go back up. And it's actually kind of a good sign. It shows the economy is actually doing okay. And these interest rate increases that are happening are healthy, and they're still well below where we were in 2006, 2007 when prices were spiking. So the second factor, and this is kind of just off the topic one, is that home prices are still 10% below where they were in 2007. So if any time a housing bubble formed and popped, which it really didn't, it was more of a market correction, it would have been 2007. So by the very definition of a housing bubble, home prices increased a lot, but that is in the past now. That was realistically now 3 years ago. And then we looked at the third reason why there's not a housing bubble right now is jobs. People are moving back into the city. In 2009, people were leaving the city, last year, but right now people are moving back to the city. Jobs are paying better again. People's incomes are going back up. So why would a housing bubble be forming right now? It simply doesn't really make any sense. So in terms of, if we understand now that, is there a Canadian housing bubble happening? No. And what's the long answer? It's no, 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 no. What would cause a housing bubble to form? I can think of a few things, and this is specific to Calgary again, and one would be a rapid drop in oil prices. So once we saw prices going a lot, prices used to be $140 a barrel, going all the way down to $30 a barrel, and the economy was still fine. So if you saw oil prices going to like $10 a barrel, this is where we would have a problem. Is this likely to happen? No, and not according to me. If you know better, then hey, you feel free. But as far as I'm concerned, that is not going to happen. The other thing that could happen is CHMC, if they were to change their mortgage rules, and this wouldn't be like going back to 25-year AM. This would be like saying to people, okay, instead of putting 5% down, you need to put 25% down. This would cause a housing bubble because it would take some people out of the market, and there'd be no one to buy homes. Again, though, is this likely to happen? No. That's very unpopular politics, and any government in power at that point in time would have a lot to say about that. So again, I do not believe this is going to happen. But again, differently, hey, feel free. Anyways, I hope I put your mind at rest with this whole housing bubble. Hope that give you something to think about. Definitely do look past the curtain, so to speak. When you see all these newspaper articles talking about a housing bubble, what are they really saying? Sometimes housing bubbles mean like prices will increase 2 or 3%, which of course is not a housing bubble. It's not really market correction, right? It's just noise. But if you have any questions on this, feel free to give me a call, 403-990-1278, or through my website, calgarycountryreport.com. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I always appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.